Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Very much the precursor to circuits like Monticello, Thermal, and Audubon here in the States. In the late 1980s, a Japanese golf course magnate wondered if a country club model, which was the backbone of the golfing industry, could be applied to motorsport venues. By offering a playground for the wealthy to enjoy their high-performance cars, could he create a successful business? By selling off many of his golf courses and offering lifetime memberships for 15 million yen, that was about the equivalent of about $120,000 back then, ground was broken for what was then known as Tai Tanaka International Circuit Aida and its garages, clubhouse, and also a hotel. Featuring sweeping S-bends, tight hairpins, and a good amount of elevation change, the 11-turn, 2.3-mile circuit was well suited to the 350 members on the books when the facility opened in November of 1990. A host of veteran British drivers were invited to take part in an initial race on the course for the benefit of the members, after whom the majority of the corners were named. The fast sweepers became known as the Moss S after Sterling Moss, while others honored Jonathan Williams, David Hobbs of all people, Dickie Atwood, David Piper, Brian Redmond, and Mike Knight. And having hosted the Formula One Pacific Grand Prix in its early years, the circuit is now named after its home in the Okayama Prefecture, approximately 450 miles southwest of Tokyo, and now plays home to Super GT, SRO Asia, and Super Formula Lights. Welcome everyone to Okayama International Circuit for round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech miniMite Sports Car Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod, who's joining me here for tonight's twin 35-minute battles. And thankfully, we've also got Jonathan Grabowski in the virtual production truck, who's going to be bringing you all the best camera angles and action that Apex Racing TV is known for. And so, good evening, Larry, and welcome to the circuit that our LMP3 and GT4 racers, well, hopefully they know pretty darn well, as it's been a staple of the official iRacing events for years. But I think this is actually the very first time in 7 seasons that the miniMite Sports Car Championships descended upon Okayama.
Yeah, Okayama, it is a track everyone's familiar with. It's been on the platform for a long time. did go through a refresh about maybe a year or so ago, so it looks great. But everyone's familiar with it. There are nobody's going to out practice anyone else when it comes to Okayama. It's a fun, decent track. As you say, Formula One's been here. Everybody's kind of run here over the years, and I think it'll be an interesting track for multi-class racing tonight because the whole infield section, so to speak, from turn 6 down to turn 9 is very twisty. It dares you to use some uneven curves and could create some treacherous moments here in our series here. So could be a very interesting night with our twin 35-minute, but hey, if you have a problem in the first race, you get to redo it again in the second. This could be fun.
Exactly. As we invert, I think, half the field for our GT cars and then half the field for our LMP3 cars after the first race. But let's do this, Larry. Why don't we turn things over to Kevin Ford? He'll give us tonight's track guide of Okayama International Circuit, and hopefully he'll be able to show us that tricky section that's bookended by two different hairpin and hubs. Over to Kevin Ford.
Welcome, everyone, to Okayama International Circuit. Great to have you with us as we head down into Turn 1 here at this beautiful course in Okayama, Japan. 2.3 miles around this course as we head through Turn 2. Bit of an off-camber there. A car wants to travel out into the dirt there very easily. Now up through the Moss S of Turn 3, and then into one of my favorite corners, down into this very tight wrapping entry of Turn 4. This does open up on exit. You'll notice here as we can track wide up off the corner here, pick up some good speed onto the backstretch to head down into the tightest hairpin on the course, Turn 5. You'll see a lot of slipstream opportunities and overtaking down here into 5. Heavy on the brakes, get that rotation early. Come up off of 5, track back right to set up the entry to the left here into 6. Then down into 7, known as Piper. Coming up off 7, we'll track out all the way to the exit there, get some momentum down into 8. You could see some overtaking opportunities here into 8 as well. You'll notice the track is a little bit tighter through this section here. Into 9, back to the right, about a Hobbs. Now we'll head to the double right-handers, the final 2 corners here at Okayama, through Turn 10, taking a lot of curb, then into the final right-hander of Turn 11. Using up all that exit to get a lot of power up onto this front straightaway. There you go. There's your track guide for the beautiful Okayama International Circuit.
And thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of the Okayama International Circuit. And Larry, as we've got our drivers wrapping up their practice session, we're going to have them go out for their 15-minute qualifying session in a few moments. We take a look at Travis Schwenke racing for Orion. And tonight's got a big beaver theme to it, apparently. With the onset of season 4 of the iRacing season, we have the brand new, I guess, which version of the M4 GT4 is this now? This is the, I guess it's the, it's not the G, is it the G92 or the F92 version of the M4, but the brand new version of the BMW is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, it's got the nice big beaver tooth grill, like much like the GT3 brother.
I do like this one a little bit better. It's it may look like it's ready to build a dam across the river, but it does look good.
Yes. So again, tonight will be it's got a beaver theme because of course we were looking at Alex Brown a little bit earlier as well. Out track. Yeah, he's out on track. The Canadian driving for Eagle Beavers Racing, and
most Canadian thing I could think of.
Exactly, and it is literally on the side of his car. There's Alex. We'll try and get a shot of the side of the car. It is an eagle with a beaver head.
It's brilliant. I love it.
It is so Frankensteinish. Oh my gosh. Anyway, all right. Well, again, practice is finishing up here, Larry, and we're going to be sending drivers out for qualifying in just a minute. Let's quickly take a look at where we stood after our first round a couple of weeks ago. where the series opened up season number 7 at beautiful Virginia International Raceway. So we're going from one country club to another. In LMP3, we had Josh Vidal of Phantom Power Racing take race 1. We had Tyler King from Aerokinetics take race 2. And, of course, they are currently sitting 1 and 2 in the championship, actually separated by 2 points. And I think that has primarily to do with bonus points for leading laps. And so they are your top 2. Bobby Childs, not very far back. He's only 5 points out of the championship right now. But again, only 1 round in the books. Marlon Jones, Jim Pfeiffer round out your top 5 in LMP3. In GT4, let's take a look quickly at GT4 AM, where Dragon Sport Racing's Lucas Dragota drove his Mercedes to the win in both rounds, or both races, pardon me, at VIR, picking up max points. Aaron Beaver from Rockefeller Racing finished 2nd in race 1. John Sterling from Eagle Beavers finished 2nd in race number 2. And finished 3rd in race number 1. Chuck Labano ended up on the podium as well from Frito Sport. If we take a look at the point standings in GT4 AM, it is currently Lucas Dragota, your points leader, and he already has, Larry, a 22-point advantage on the rest of the field. John Sterling is sitting 2nd in the points. Another 6 points back is Andre Wedderburn, driving his McLaren for Mousespeed, then Tom Jenkins and Aaron Beaver. And should note that Aaron Beaver races for Rockefeller, not Eagle Beavers, and he doesn't drive a BMW either. All right, let's move over to GT4 Pro, where Leo Dragota took the win in race number 1 for Orion in his BMW. His teammate Travis Schwenke won race 2. Alex Brown finishing 2nd in race 1. Robert Hartley 3rd in race 2. Hartley finished 2nd. Eric Violet from D2D finished in 3rd. And if we take a look at the point standings, it is Schwenke currently tied with his teammate Robert Hartley, both at 60 points. Chris Thorman sitting 4 points back, and Alex Brown another point back from there, 5 points out of the championship. All right, so Larry, we've got drivers out on track right now for their 15-minute qualifying session, and as we always do, we give our drivers the opportunity to set 4 flying laps. They have the track, at least as far when they look out the windshield, they've got the track all to themselves, and we'll track them here around as we're following right now Greg Brockway, who has moved over to the Mercedes AMG GT4. So we do have 3 different classes running here tonight. As we mentioned, we've got LMP3, and then we've got the 2 variations of the GT4s. And the way we pick them out in GT4, if we look at Greg Brockway's car here, he's one of our GT4 AM racers, as he's going to be starting his, hopefully putting in his first flying lap. The GT4 AM racers, you can pick them out because they've got the green number boards on the sides of their cars. They've got the green windshield banners, mirrors, and end plates on their wings, whereas our GT4 Pro racers...
Well, Greg, we may be suspending graphics for a minute. There's just been a disconnection of our broadcast, but so our viewers may not be seeing what we're seeing.
They may not be hearing what we're seeing.
They may not be hearing it either.
Oh, we are connected. Oh, so we are live. Okay, so Larry, we'll take a look here as we've got our racers going around, as we're starting to see first times come in LMP3. Josh Vidal going to the top of the qualifying right now with a time of 127.01. Jim Pfeiffer just about 0.3 back from there. He's got a 127.28, and Jake Zito now with a 128.26. That's your top 3. Still waiting for Tyler King and Bobby Childs to put times in.
They're on their first flying lap right now, as we are. Looks like we're back with graphics. That's good. Thank you, Jonathan. Yep. So there you can see right now is Josh Vidal, as he's already got quickest time, trying to go quicker here.
And again, having taken the win in one of our first, having taken a win in one of our first 2 races at Virginia International Raceway. And as we were saying, the LMP3 cars, pretty easy to pick out compared to the GT cars. Orange number boards, mirrors, and end plates on the wings. And you can see in our timing tower there on the left-hand side of your screen, you know, when we have it on the screen, it is also in orange. Whereas, again, the GT4 AM racers, you will see them in green, and then in GT4 Pro, they'll have the red number boards and windshield banners and mirrors and end plates on their wings as well, and that's how you all tell them apart. So we've got somebody here, Larry, going up towards the top of the leaderboard in GT4, Dan Cardillo. And Dan is running for Saints and Sinners Racing, and he's a rookie here this season, although he's been doing iRacing, I think, for about 12 years. So we'll see how things work out for him as he's racing in a Porsche GT4 Club Sport here this season. And there's Dan driving the number 40 machine, and he is currently about 1.6 seconds, it appears. Or probably not 1.6. I can't do, I can't do math. 74 1,000ths of a second off of provisional pole sitter Mike Dam in GT4.
It is tough when it's on the screen right there on the timing tower.
Exactly. Well, I need a new prescription for my glasses too. So there's double whammy.
Dan looks like he's doing right. He is out there on what I believe to be his 3rd flying lap out of 4. We'll see if he can crack into the 134s. Nobody's done it yet here in GT4. To see very close there between Dam, Carrito, and then you got Schwenkler, Mosley, all very close. Just a couple. Look at them all stacked up there in the in their lap times, 2.10, 2.5 tenths back. It is very close right now. Again, it's a track where nobody has an advantage of getting able to. It's not like it's new and everyone had a chance to get in and practice it, or they didn't. This is one that everybody races every weekend. Every public series comes through here, it seems, every season, and everyone's personal leagues probably runs here as well. So it's a pretty well even place. Everyone had a chance to work on their setups, and I think that's showing in the lap times being laid down.
There you go. And so Dam is our first driver to make it into the 134s, Larry. During the week in practice, Zach Mosley in his Orion GT4 BMW was the fastest of our I'm sorry, he's not racing for Orion. He's racing for Frito Sport. Yeah, he's in a Frito Sport Mercedes. Hey, I'm falling apart all over the place here. But he was our fastest driver during the week, and only managed a 135.2. So we're already starting to see some faster lap times come in. Zach's already matched his practice times, but now we've got Cardillo, Schwenkler for the wrong stuff, as well as Mike Dam. Sitting above him on the leaderboard now in Pro.
Yeah, it's going to be very close. What this tells me is qualifying is probably pretty important. The best places to pass around here. The front straight's kind of tough. It's not the longest. Got a reasonable speed entry. The back straight's really the best chance going into that hairpin down in turn 5. With just one chance per lap to really get a solid passing zone. I think in a shorter race like this, it's going to be very tough to get on by. I think it tells me qualifying is critical. Mike Dam doing everything he can to hold down that top spot. But like I said, it's very close, just stacked up behind now with Schwenkler, Carrito, and Mosley now sitting at 2, 3, and 4. Anything beyond the front 2 rows could be really tough to make any action and get something done tonight. But the second race, now knowing that we're going to invert half the field, again, everyone's very close. It's going to be tough to win this thing if you're at the back of the field at the start of that second race. So we'll see how this goes, but it's going to be one of those kind of nights where everyone's going to be pushing. And don't forget, multi-class racing, those LMP3s right there, they're going to want to make their way through the pack, and that could spice things up even among the GT4 fields. This could be fun.
That's it. So Bobby Childs on his 3rd flying lap just betters his previous lap time. He turns in a 127.08. He's still just about a quarter of a second off of provisional pole sitter and LMP3 Josh Vidal, and so Childs is now working his very last flying lap. We're looking at Jim Pfeiffer right now. Jim has already put in his 4 laps. Looks like he's just taken maybe a little bit of extra practice time here, and best he is going to manage is starting third on the grid. But from the looks of it, Larry, we only have a 5-car LMP3 field here this evening. So, I think, again, the key is just going to be to stay close. And when we do that invert, not much of a change in the invert for the LMP3s.
We didn't have the biggest field either at VIR a couple of weeks ago, but it still became quite interesting. Even just the start of the race, you've got to stay clean. You got to stay close throughout. The invert isn't going to have a huge impact on us, but still it is 2 sprint formats. You can't wait for a pit stop to make a pass. You have to do it on the track.
That is it. All right, so we've got, Larry, just about 5 minutes remaining in qualifying, and we have tonight's pre-race guest with us here this evening. He's sitting in the green room. It is Tyler King, driver of the Aerokinetics LMP3 Ligier. Why don't we bring him in and talk to him?
All right, so joining us here pre-race, we've got Tyler King. So Tyler, coming into tonight, you had a pretty good run there at VIR a couple weeks ago. What are your thoughts here at Okayama?
This is going to be a bit of a survival race, I can tell you that much. The GT4 traffic makes this a very patient game for us LMP3s, so we got to be sure we take our time and just get to the end. Kind of botched up qualifying here a little bit. Don't have much practice this week. Was busy doing the Indy 6-hour on iRacing this week, so just going to see how we go here this first race, just try and survive, see how the traffic fares, and hopefully we can bring home a good result for the feature.
Yeah, I got to imagine not having a ton of practice here in this field in particular really puts the pressure on to figure out where the good and bad places are to get by the GT4s. Do you think that's now kind of maybe a word as an advantage to your competitors that maybe they did get that chance?
I would say so a little bit. I have previous experience at this track, but obviously with the multi-class format here, it's been a little bit of a learning process in the last hour and a half. I've had to get warmed up and see how the drivers are faring. 33 GT4s in this field today, so not a lot of room to pass here. Only a few specific spots without getting too botched up in terms of closing speeds and everything like that. So we're gonna just take our time and hopefully no collisions anywhere. We bring it home in one piece.
Yeah, it could be a very interesting night here with this big GT4 field. But you mentioned you're doing a couple other iRacing things. You talked about some of those endurance races. So what other things do you do motorsports? Is it just sim? You got anything in real life that you get out and do?
In my real life, I'm work in a seafood department, and I'm a big nerd who likes to go longboarding and really just kind of be just general everything nerdy. Nothing too crazy, but busy this past weekend doing the Indy 6-hour with the Aerokinetics team. We had some good results across the board in different splits. I was really happy to see that. And I'm currently competing in the E-Mustang Challenge Series. Next week, I'll be trying to compete for some real-world prize money. Hopefully bring home some money there. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be amazing. So it sounds like you've got a lot of different activities. You, if I had to guess, weekly time, what do you think you spend on iRacing? 20 hours, 30 hours? Or are you not willing to admit?
No, I'd say probably somewhere between 20 and 30 hours balancing my real-life job and other things I have to take care of, other obligations. But, I definitely love the service. I've been off and on it for over a decade now, and every update they put out just makes the sim better and better. After COVID, seeing the boom that iRacing got in terms of its membership and putting it on the map with a lot of virtual racing they broadcast on TV, it's really awesome to see the sim grow, and I'm super excited to see future content that's coming out in the next few seasons.
Yeah, it's going to get pretty exciting, as if it isn't enough already. But awesome result there a couple weeks ago. Looking forward to see what you can do here tonight in this crazy field. You got anybody you want to shout outs? Anybody you want to give a thanks to or anything for helping you out?
Let's give some thanks to Aerokinetics here, giving me a setup on short notice this week. Hopefully, bring home a good result. Shout out to the family watching at home. Hopefully, they enjoy the show and everybody else watching. Also, if anybody's curious, wants to join up with us here on the series, the LMP3 class would really love some extra LMP3 drivers. So if you're interested, come on out here to the Ricmotech series. We've got a great series here Monday nights.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'd love to see a bigger field. We've got 5 solid drivers here tonight that could all win each of these 2 rounds.
4 and Bobby, yeah.
I'm not going to knock on Bobby like that. Come on now. You just wait. Right. Bobby's going to come in here and serenade us whenever he gets his victory. So
Eric Violet says he's going to win the night, so there you go.
If Eric says it, it must be true.
That's right.
All right, Tyler. So thanks for joining us here pre-race. Good luck tonight. With any chances, maybe we'll get a chance to talk to you in about an hour or so.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, there you go. Aerokinetics, Tyler King here this evening. And Larry, if for anybody watching at home, if you do want to join the grid, we still are taking new entries. You can go to xmsracing.com rennsport.com for more information. All right, so we've got
wrap it up.
Yeah, I was going to say we got about 2 seconds left on the clock, and there you go. Checkered flag is out, and poof, they're gone. So we are getting ready to go racing here at Okayama, Larry. And let's take a look at the starting order. Do you want the short one or do you want the big one?
I'll take the GT4s. Why don't you take the LMPs?
All right, let me see if I can get through all these quickly, Larry. All right, starting on pole for Phantom Power Racing is Josh Vidal, looking for his second and maybe third win of this early season. D2D Sim Racing's Bobby Childs in the number 88 machine. He's on the outside of the front row with Jim Pfeiffer from Sector 5 and Jake Zito from Phantom Power starting third and fourth. And then Tyler King from Aerokinetics. You heard him there. He is starting all by his lonesome on row number 3.
All right, let's take a look at our GT4 field. On the pole tonight, the Flying Canadian from up north from Orion Race Team, Mike Dam, set the pace here to 34.96, but right behind him from the wrong stuff, we'll be starting alongside Robert Schwenkler, also in the 34s, the only 2 drivers to get there in qualifying tonight. Unbelievable pace. On row 2 on the inside, it's going to be one of the new guys here, Dan Carrito. He'll be starting in the inside of row 2 alongside Zach Mosley from Mosley Motorsports. On row 3, it's going to be the second of our Orion drivers, Rob Hartley. He'll be lined up alongside the prognosticator saying Bobby's going to win tonight, D2D Sim Racing's Eric Violet. On row 4 on the inside, it's going to be Chris Thorman from D2D. He'll be lined up alongside Leo Dragoda, one of the other Orion drivers. On row 5, Eagle Beavers himself, Alex Brown on the inside, lined up the last of the Orion drivers, Travis Schwenke. On row 6 is Brian Bennett from Sector 5 Racing alongside the fastest ever AM drivers. We hadn't talked about these guys yet. Let's talk about them now. Neil Weston up there on the fastest. He'll be on row 6. On row 7, his rival from Rennsport Racing, Lucas Dragoda. On the outside from Lucas, got Jeff Jacobs. On the following row, you've got Chuck Lovano from Frito Sport Racing alongside Chad Seaver from Close Enough Crew. Then you got David Klimovich in the Klim Club from Slow Bros Racing alongside Tom Jenkins, Midfield Motorsports. And then we've got another Eagle Beavers driver there, John Sterling, alongside Stephen May from Mayforce. Aaron Bieber, not related to the Eagle Beavers, Rockefeller Racing, in fact. He'll be alongside Russ Ruddock from All These Animals, a flying tortoise, Russ Ruddock. Behind them, Dale Maxwell.
Flying beavers, flying tortoises, you name it.
The Black Flag E-Motorsports, Dale Maxwell, lined up alongside Dave Payton from D2D. Then you've got Andre Wetterberg from All Speed Racing alongside John Casey from Frito Sports. Brian Steele will take the line from SMB Racing alongside his teammate Steven Stinson. Then you got Greg Brockway from Frito Sport, Sean Ankeny from Northwest Motorsports, and then Chris Klimovich, another other Klim Club, Slow Bros Racing.
Yeah, and Larry, interestingly enough, Dan Cardillo, who was, I think, 4th fastest driver, did not make the grid. And I think he's going to be starting from the pit lane, possibly Dale Maxwell, as well as the pace car is on the pit lane, turning things over to our LMP3 pole sitters. And we are underway. Josh Vidal and the rest of our LMP3 racers take the green as they are making their way down into turn 1, making stepping down to the inside there, Larry. Is that Jim Pfeiffer, I think, as our GT4 racers now get the green flag as well. And they are racing here at Okayama, and they are making the run down into turn 1 with Dam and Schwenkler. Schwenkler now side by side with, was that Robert Hartley, I believe, directly alongside him in his BMW with Zach Mosley trying to sneak up the inside. He was trying to sneak up. I think he may possibly get a slowdown, Larry.
I think either that or he got shuffled back there on that left-hand turn in there for turn 2. So Mosley going to be struggling here in the opening lap. Mike Dam, though, really able to hold off the field there. Schwenkler right in behind. And then you've got that third place Hartley. And then there's the gap. And that gap is where Mosley was. Now you've got, I think it's Eric Violet trying to keep up with that front 3.
All right, here as they now make the run down the longest straight here into the hairpin over at turn 5. And Larry, I've been hearing that as they drop down this hill here into Revolver, turn 6, this is one of the easiest places where drivers have been running off all week in practice. that they need to be able to keep control of the car. And then again, another quick little left-hand turn here. I think a little bit later we might see some passing opportunities here at Redmond, turn number 8. But interestingly enough, Night Corner, which is turn 10, which we're going to see here as our races are coming down to it now, it has a slight little drop. Big opportunity there if drivers come over into that pit lane area. Oh yeah, Schwenkler off wide and into the wall.
Ooh.
And I was going to say, Larry, if they tip over and come a little bit too far, drivers right, there's one of the old pit lane is over there. They can get a pretty substantial slowdown penalty, but it looks like Schwenkler, he didn't do that, but his is pretty substantial. Yeah.
That's the old-fashioned way. He's run wide and you spend half a lap trying to get back in with traffic. Let's catch a replay of this one. So there is Schwenkler running in the top 2. He's the mid-engine
already loose too.
There. Yeah, you can see him trouble getting power down coming out of the last of those hairpins. Then look at that again. The car's just twitchy on him. He can't seem to contain it.
Yeah, and I thought that perhaps he might have gotten loosened up a little bit by Hartley, but I don't think Hartley was. I don't think Hartley was on him.
No, that looked like completely self-induced. I wonder if that's a cold tire thing with that McLaren. If it takes a lap or so to get heat in it, that's maybe the risk you take with setup. That you're risking it that it'll be better as it goes on. Not so good for first lap. So he, like Zach Mosley, both struggling here on this opening lap.
Yeah, so Mosley now falls back to 7th in pro. And if we take a look here, how far back did Schwenkler? Schwenkler's all the way back. He lost 24 spots, it looks like, Larry.
He's down the order there for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see where he slipped in. But the problem you see is exactly what you see on the screen. It's a train out there.
And we've got another driver off, Larry, there over. That was Chad Sebring running and got the car very loose, got into the dirt, overcorrected, and went straight to the wall. You can see all the padding there. Oh, yeah,
he's got
done.
No front steering. He's going to be calling the tow truck. So let's see how this looks then when our LMP3s get caught up at the back of this field. Quick replay on this. Let's go along here with Sebring as he's going through that turn 7 and just pushes and pushes and then hooks.
Yep, and I mean, and you can see, Larry, there it's a pretty common occurrence. That's why they've got all the padding there on the wall.
It's unfortunate because his graphics scheme looks great. Delivery is awesome on that car. It just stinks to see it hit the wall and have a new wrinkle, as they say. But we move on as our LMP3s, the top 3, Vidal, Childs, and Pfeiffer, are all now in a row with the other 2, Zito and King, back there. But these guys are going to catch the back of the GT4s pretty quickly.
Very quickly, yeah. And so again, remember, this is a 35-minute timed race, and then we invert the field at the end. Now, Larry, in talking to Eric Violette, not only did he predict the Bobby Childs win, so I don't know how much credence I can
Every
give
time
him.
we mention Eric, that's our phrase. He picked Bobby to win.
Exactly. So the one thing that he did mention, and this is something he obviously has some experience with in testing this week, is in the GT4 cars. Although it is a very short race, a nice sprint race, the temperatures have been rather high here at Okayama, and there have been some problems with the drivers overheating and running off their tires as early as mid-race. And we're seeing where drivers already are, kind of sliding around even after 3 and 4 laps, things could get a little tricky for them here at the end of the 35 minutes.
That's what I wonder about Schwenkler. Did perhaps he have a setup on the car that's a little more dicey on cold, but settles as it gets hotter, and actually maybe in the long run better on the tires? They just take a while to warm up. It's possible those kind of things could trigger what we saw for him on that opening lap, but going to be very interesting, some of these cars, especially like these LMP3s, how conservative they are on these opening laps. Now running lap 4, no one's making a push, no one's trying to make any moves at this point. It's just a train. Vidal, Childs, and Pfeiffer, 1, 2, and 3, and just a couple seconds to Zito and King back, so no one's really doing anything. But let's see what happens when they get to
I was going to say what happens when they get to the back of the GT4 traffic, and as they then try to take advantage of some other racers' misfortune, as we watch now Lucas Dragotta in the 119 Mercedes, and he's got Brian Bennett in the 161 Porsche just ahead, and then it's Dragotta's a little bit of a Porsche sandwich there, as we've got Neil Weston in the number 6 Porsche just behind.
Well, that's just it. Is the one in front we're following here. Bennett is in the pro category. Lucas Dragotta and his rival Neil Weston, well, they're in the M category, and Chuck Labano as well, right behind them. Those are your front three with the green mirrors, green windshield banners. That's the fastest three in the M class. So clearly, Lucas would love to get around Bennett if he can, because then he can put daylight between himself and his rivals. Until he does, though, he's going to be under pressure, just kind of the meat in the sandwich here, trying to get out of it. Lucas really going to have to drive well defensively as well as aggressively at the same time.
Yeah, indeed, and we saw him take a couple pokes to the inside and outside, I think, as he's trying to find a way around Bennett, or maybe loosen Bennett up just a little bit. Yeah, he would absolutely love to have that out-of-class car between he and Neil Weston.
And he keeps poking down the inside. He gets to the end of these straightaways, just not enough there, and he knows that if he's over-aggressive and it doesn't work, he's going to lose one, probably two spots to both Weston and Chuck Labano. Again, Labano has become one of the consistent AM drivers around here. Just sort of hangs around, goes fast, but just fast enough that if one of the other guys falter, he tends to jump. But look at this. Lucas still can't make the move on Bennett. He's got to fall in behind. This corner, though, it tends to define the back straight. As you can see, there you go. Lucas taking the tightier inside, gets the better launch. Now he'll have the inside when they get to the turn 5 hairpin. Can he hang on to it? And does Weston maybe make it a 3 wide?
Yeah, and and that was 2 corners in a row where we saw Bennett run a little bit wide of the apex.
And we've got an Orion.
And contact.
That's Schwenke. That's Schwenke, middle of the track. Yeah, and he had been back there, I think, with Mosley, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know what. We're going to have to catch a replay on exactly what led to Schwenke.
All right, let's take a look
there he is,
here.
Mosley behind him. They go into the hairpin. Is there any contact? Mosley does stick his nose in. Oh, I see contact. Yeah.
That was a very late move from Zach Mosley.
Schwenke's just trying to get out of the way, too, as that next pack came through. And looks like he did take a little bit of contact, but now he's right there. That's Weston behind him. So now we got separation. Lucas got by and got around Bennett. Labano got by. Weston got held up and is now finding himself behind the Orion Schwenke.
Well, now that's given Lucas Dragotta the clearance that he needed. Although the question would be then, Larry, is did Lucas Dragotta take on any damage? Because there was some contact there between
possibly, but we got a battle right here. Yeah, Bobby just got passed by Pfeiffer as they're going to GT4 traffic. This is what we thought about. What would happen here as the LB3s make their way through the first time. Bobby's a little bit tentative, and I think it just cost him. They're falling back from Vidal. Pfeiffer gets around. King now wants to make the move as King was able to get past Zito. That's King in the 4th spot right behind them. Look at that. The aerokinetics all over the back of the D2D of Bobby Childs. Don't want to lose sight of Vidal either. We're only 10 minutes into this 35. Don't want to lose sight.
All right, Larry, let's take a look and see how that pass went down.
So coming into the GT4 traffic, we got a couple of our Porsches there just ahead. A good exit. Bobby just ran wide. Pfeiffer just took the opportunity. Great move.
Yeah, very opportunistic, and was able to come right underneath as they had the 2 Porsches. Believe that was Maxwell and Stinson just ahead.
It's not over yet as Bobby and King both coming through turn 7. It's very dicey in there. Ahead of them, it's that Petitpas right there in that red, black, and white.
Hey, Larry, and perhaps the fight of the evening, and at least I know that's probably the only one the folks in the chat care about, are David and Chris Klimovich right now.
Yeah.
running 17th and 18th at AM. Actually, I think that is who our GT4 racers came upon, or probably our LMP3 racers came upon when Bobby lost that position. I think they came up upon the 21 and the 128 here. But the Klim Club, enjoying the airtime.
I don't think they've updated the livery for the season as they've got the generic pale blue. I'm sure in 2 weeks we'll see them with a full Klim livery on these cars.
Right.
But right now, David with the advantage over Chris, just as you can see, just a couple of car lengths. Klim Club, always in the chat, always watching with bated breath every week.
All right, let's jump back up, Larry. This is the battle for the lead right now in GT4, and it is the two Orion teammates. It is Mike Dam and Robert Hartley, pardon me.
Yeah, they're pretty well locked in. Now the Schwenkler kind of took himself out. Mosley had his opening lap issue. And you can see the Aston Martin of Eric Violette just not with the pace here. Mosley, though, great recovery. Look at him in the Mercedes just on the heels of Eric Violette. So that opening lap issues that we found, he seems to have shaken that. We'll see how far he can make it up into this. And maybe perhaps that Mercedes has the pace advantage on the BMWs tonight. This track seems to just have that most difficult layout of that four. It seems enough like it should be a simple corner. It's just not. And there's multiple ways to take it. The braking is just never straight. You never feel like
I was going to say,
it
that's
right.
probably the biggest issue, is that you can't easily do it in a straight line.
It's just a little bit of elevation change. The corner's got a little bit of increase in elevation as you go through it, so you get some of that if you take it right. I prefer a tighter line around it. Like the one we saw Lucas as he was trying to get past Brian Bennett earlier. I like that tight line. It does leave you at the inside at the end of the straightaway, but you have to be able to get the power down and put yourself in that position. It's never easy. And this track has a lot of those little subtleties.
All right, Larry, as we jump back up to this battle for the lead in LMP3 between Josh Vidal and now Jim Pfeiffer, as they try to make their way through this GT4 traffic. Just got word from race control that there has been a penalty assigned, and it shouldn't be a big surprise, Larry. Zach Mosley getting a drive-through penalty for his contact with Travis Schwenke. And you know, luckily the pit lane here at Okayama is fairly short, but obviously there's a much larger impact when we have these shorter 35-minute races than in previous seasons when we were running 60-minute long races here. That you know, having to make that run down the pit lane essentially is going to take you out of contention.
Yeah, it's not the longest pit lane, but anytime in a short sprint race you have to serve a penalty, it's going to hurt you. He may be already thinking about how he can perform in the second race of our twin 35 minutes tonight, but he's had an interesting up and down race. Great qualifying, then has the opening lap issue, starts his way back up, has another issue, now the penalty. As look at this fighting here. That's Chuck Labano now entangled with Brian Bennett from the pro category, and we had seen Labano when he was behind Lucas Tragoda, watching Lucas try to get past Bennett, realizing Bennett's a tough pass.
He is, and then had maybe a little bit of door rubbing there as Travis Schwenke at the time was trying to take a look up on the inside.
Yeah. Travis is going to follow the LMP3 and Vidal through there.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was going to say is now Schwenke would likely like to just kind of slot in as best he can right behind our LMP3 leader, Joshua Vidal, and maybe dispatch with the Mercedes and the Porsche ahead of Bennett.
Tell you, the Porsche tonight looks like it's got good legs in a straight line. We saw the Mercedes, the Lucas Tragoda, struggle in the back straight to get ahead of Bennett. Now we see here Bennett able to pull in the straightaway ahead of another Mercedes, this time in the hands of Chuck Labano. So the Porsche might just have the legs. And look at Bobby Childs, speaking of Porsche, he's going to shove that LMP3 right up the inside of Bennett and his Porsche. But the BMW may not be the quickest out here tonight, although it's being led by a BMW. Travis Schwenke having troubles with the Mercedes of Chuck Labano.
Yeah, you know, and the Mercedes itself, as we were watching originally Lucas Tragoda with the run that he was making on Brian Bennett before, I was really surprised, Larry, at how nimble the long Mercedes really appeared to be through that very difficult section from the hairpin over at turn 5 and then up through 9. That he was able to handle some of those transitions incredibly well.
Yeah, the car's got pretty good balance, and I think it helps you with a lot of that. But straight line speed, it does not appear to have tonight. That's maybe something it's going to have to work on. Look at this, as you've got Alex Brown now trying to get up the inside of a similar Mercedes. That's Greg Brockway. The Eagle Beaver looks like he's got the position.
chomp.
Chipping away.
Who's he using as a bridge to the next person? Or actually, maybe not using a bridge, but I'm sure he's always looking for Mike Dam.
If he makes his liveries himself, he's an artist. Look at that.
Yeah, that is amazing. With the talons.
It's spectacular. It's Jonathan serenading us with his own made-up song. Wow. That's one we ought to actually record and give that to Mike Dam. But anyway, we'll let the audience wonder what he's singing. All right, so speaking of Mike Dam, there he is again with the LMP3, going on by Hartley. A couple of car lengths back now, not quite as close as he was.
Jonathan had his best Steve Miller band going on there, so I'll let you all figure it out. Or Seal, I mean, take your choice.
It's in the chat. Thank you, John. It's perfect. All right, so now Bobby Childs trying to get through, but this is Leo Jagoda locked in. So you got an Orion D2D battle going on here. Eric Violet, the veteran of D2D.
Yeah, and if you remember, Larry, Violet had purchased the Aston Martin that he's racing, I think like mere days before round number 1 at VIR. So he's had now about 3 weeks to work on this chassis. And I mean, he definitely seemed a little out of sorts during round 1, but seems to have a much better handle of it at the moment as he is now running 3rd in Pro.
Yeah, a little bit, but he doesn't quite have the pace to run with the Orion leaders out in front. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised that should Leo be able to get around Eric, that perhaps Leo's pace might be a little better. Just this place is so tough to pass. Eric, really the wily veteran here, doesn't make many mistakes. Obviously, if you haven't been with us watching a lot of these series here from Extreme and Ricmotech on Monday nights, Eric has won a lot. He's won when he were doing the touring cars. He was a winner when we were running some of the prototypes. And this season trying to challenge himself in some GT cars. Always fast, doesn't make mistakes. It's going to be a tough pass for Lucas. And I don't know if these BMWs have the straight line speed either. Yeah, look at that. Just can't make a move.
Yeah, not making up any ground at all.
No. It might be a Porsche night when you're in a straight line, it seems. Back to this battle. As Schwenke now has made his way around.
Cleared Lobano. All right, so right behind Schwenke, Larry, of course, is Lobano and Neil Weston in the Porsche there, and that is the battle for second in AM as Lucas Dragotta. Not only did he clear Brian Bennett, of course, he's got Schwenke now sitting between he and Lobano. So Lucas has got a little bit of clearance as he's running 5th out of all the GT cars.
Remember, it was Schwenke, though, that caused that bit of a stir-up of those things, if you will, because he was the one that had gotten spun by Zach Mosley, now having served his penalty. But that's what put Schwenke in this position. He recovered, but not until after he had broken up that train that was the Bennett and Lucas Dragotta, and then, of course, Lobano. So now that Schwenke's recovered past Lobano, we'll see if he can make any pressure and get past Brian Bennett. We've shown it tonight has not been an easy pass at all with the legs on the Porsche.
Not at all.
Yeah, the
and
BMW
Larry, interesting development here. It looks like David Payton of D2D Sim Racing has brought his car down the pit lane. I didn't see any penalties assigned, hadn't heard anything over the radio, but now he joins his D2D teammate Chris Thorman there on the pit lane.
Yeah, let's see if we can catch a replay here on what happened with David Payton. See him. Oh, and he kind of got tangled in a Zach Mosley, and is that the Eagle Beaver?
That was the Eagle Beaver car.
Wow,
That
Alex
was
Brown.
Yeah, I think that was Brown.
This could be interesting, as Mosley's already served one penalty for contact with Schwenke. Let's see if we can catch what's going on this replay.
Oh no, it had
was,
already it was before he ever got on the scene.
That's just adding insult to injury to Mosley's night, just getting tangled up in someone else's errors there. And I think that was...
I mean, you'd have to, you'd need to use dental floss to get through those teeth there. But, we'll see if we can figure out what precipitated that, as we'd seen the Eagle Beaver machine already on the scene. All right, here we go.
So that's Jenkins there.
And see, we already see the tire smoke ahead.
Jenkins actually manages to avoid the most of it.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
It is John Sterling, the teammate of Alex Brown. Look
Not
at this.
Beaver on Beaver crime.
Oh, he just starts, I think, his own
just,
drift. It was really close, the LMP3 car that came through, but Sterling, look at this. It's just a bit of a pile up there. Lots of cars involved. So Thorman was already in the pits. Now his teammate Peyton has joined him. I don't see anybody else in the pits currently.
No, Chad Sebring has been there for, obviously, after he had that huge shunt early on.
Now race leader Josh Vidal has just caught up to this battle. The battle for third in GT4 Pro, Eric Violette and Leo Jagoda. Vidal patiently goes on by. He's got margin to do that.
Yeah, and he's opened up a very, very large lead in the last, about 10 laps or so here, as it's running. Just about 3 seconds,
Yeah, good little lead there. He's been able to do that by getting through traffic more efficiently, I think, than Jim Pfeiffer, Tyler King, Bobby Childs, where we saw Bobby struggle a little bit, and that cost him a couple positions. Bobby now on the heels of Tyler King. So
but then, Larry, the last time we had checked in on Tyler King, he had actually been running in 5th back behind Jake Zito. And so he's leapfrogged a couple positions, and, again, as you mentioned, he was able to clear Bobby Childs as well.
There he is. We'll see if Bobby's able to stick with him, as Bobby's about 1 second back here. But Tyler King now looks like he's making his way to catching Jim Pfeiffer. Now, Pfeiffer maybe a couple of struggle points in that last few corners there. It looks like Tyler is on the move.
Oh, well, Larry, this is going to be a huge change, as we're getting, and we don't know which car he may have had an issue with, but Jim Pfeiffer in the 0-0 Ligier is going to be assigned the drive-through penalty for his responsibility in a previous incident.
It was with Chris Klimovich in the 128 a few laps ago, as I'm reading the log here, and that's unfortunate. There's been a few other warnings given out, but this is the next penalty that we've seen. So unfortunately, that's going to affect Jim Pfeiffer's really.
Yeah, and interestingly enough there, Larry, Jim Pfeiffer not making it easy for Tyler King to make the pass, and that's bringing Bobby Childs back into that fight as well. So let's take a look. Not there.
No, not yet, because it would be Pfeiffer's the next car through in LMP3, catching up to Klimovich. So we stay on Klimovich for a second. You might see it. There's
I think this will be it.
And that looks like Pfeiffer in the similar blue livery. Pfeiffer's getting aggressive through the hairpins, and a little too aggressive there. So there you go, and that's going to cost what was your second place runner, Jim Pfeiffer. He's now got to go and do his drive-through, which he's currently serving. That's a great view of the pit wall. Hey, there he is. You need a taller cameraman.
And Larry, want to remind everybody that tonight's race stewards are provided by the SCCA Foundation. The foundation provides funding for the SCCA Academy, training the next generation of race workers and volunteers that make real-life road racing events possible. Visit sccafoundation.org for more information.
All right, so we got about 9 minutes left in this 35-minute sprint, first of two. And Quick recap in the lead. Josh Vidal's been leading since we saw green flag in the LMP3s. Now Tyler King, who started this race, I believe in fifth, racing fourth, has made his way up to the front two. He's just 1 second from Josh Vidal, so this could be very interesting in these last 9 minutes. And then you've got, of course,
right there as well.
Bobby's right there on the heels of King. You can see them as they're going around Greg Brockway here and onto just a moment away from the front straightaway. So this could be an interesting run here in LMP3. GT4 Pro hasn't changed in a while. It's still Mike Dam leading teammate Rob Hartley, Eric Violet, Leo Dragotta, the next pairing there, running third and fourth. And then in GT4 AM, it's getting spicy. Lucas Dragotta leading there. And there you can see him with Brian Bennett on his heels. Travis Schwenke and those two behind Lucas are both in the pro category. But they want to get that position. Lucas is going to have to try and defend. Lucas's rival right behind them, Chuck Labano and Neil Weston, running second and third in AM with just about 8 minutes left in this first sprint. Lucas, he's got to be perfect, but my money is on the legs of that Porsche on the back straight. Don't know the front straight's long enough. Lucas doing a good job of car position right here to hold Bennett behind. So glad that Stubby is singing along with Fly Like a Beaver. All right, so Lucas.
All right, as we're watching here, this is again Brian Bennett with Lucas Dragotta directly ahead. Dragotta, one of the two flying Dragotta brothers. Lucas in AM and currently running fifth of all of our GT racers. His brother Leo, about 6 seconds up the road from here.
Keep an eye on this, because see if this Porsche, Brian Bennett, has the legs. He takes that wider line like he's been taking all night, but I think that leaves him with a better trap speed at the other end. We'll see if this is enough to maybe make the move on Dragotta. Dragotta hanging tires in the grass down the back straight. Bennett trying to stay in the draft. Not going to be able to get him this time.
Bennett did the exact same thing.
Yep, just followed him out there. Oh wow, that's some close action.
that was some late braking from Bennett.
That might have been a 0x on the sim. If you're not familiar, actually, if you don't do any iRacing, 0x is when there's contact, but not necessarily enough to warrant a penalty. But your little screen comes up and says you made contact with car number 119, for example. Doesn't seem to have affected either of them. So Lucas has to be perfect now for about the next 6 minutes or so, which given lap times, well, it's going to be about 4 laps.
4 laps.
See how this goes. 4 times around, maybe a fifth, depending on where the LMP3 leader winds up. Has about a 3-second margin on Tyler King. Josh Vidal still comfortably out in front. Instead, that Violet's Aston may not be the quickest thing around, but he's a very crafty driver, and he continues to hold young Leo Dragotta behind him. See how quickly young Leo can learn some tricks from Violet, the veteran. Very decent pace there. Much curb usage here at Okayama, especially through that turn 6, 7 to 8. You just got to straddle the curbs almost to stretch out the radius to these bigger cars. If you're in something like a Formula V or maybe a Spec Ford, you probably wouldn't use any of those curbs. But here in the GTs, you got to use every ounce of it, and then
every little bit to open it up. And I mean, you can see with the grass there, you can see the lines where the tires have worn away the grass as well. And obviously, iRacing doesn't dock you that much in some of those places.
No, but coming onto the front straight, you still even want to grab a little bit of sand trap there, gravel trap on that edge, just to carry a little bit more speed. Look at the straight line speed of the Aston Martin, kind of holding its own.
Yeah. But like we noticed before, Larry, the BMW just does not seem to make up even a foot underneath the draft.
No, if you're Leo Dragotta and you're waiting for a mistake, I don't know that Violet's going to make it. Now, this is at least a fair fight, probably even on the same setup. These two Orion teammates, Leo Dragotta's teammates, Mike Dam, Rob Hartley, top 2 in the field of GT4s. And now with 3.5 minutes to go, Hartley, I would say one of these may be a veteran, but neither of these two are new to the sim. Hartley could maybe have something up his sleeve for his teammate Dam, who's also won a few of these races in the past. So it's a good little matchup between these two.
All right, and a quick little update from LMP3 land, Larry, where Jim Pfeiffer, who served his drive-through penalty, just got around Bobby Childs. So moved Pfeiffer back up into 3rd, dropped Childs down to 4th now. And Tyler King running 2nd. It looks like he just had an issue there, Larry.
He did. That looked like it was coming out of the hairpin. And so here he goes into said hairpin. He's got, is that Schwenkler on his left?
That's Robert Schwenkler in the McLaren to his left.
All by himself. He just outbroke himself and locked up.
Yeah.
That's one of the things about these LMP3s is the brakes are very touchy. No ABS on these. It looks like he just broke a little bit deeper than he wanted. And here you go. Rob Hartley trying to take the outside line on teammate. That's going to become the inside line. They're going to do it again, switching back the other way. Who's got the advantage here? Hartley on the inside just might have it. It's the shorter distance at this point.
And then the track switches through the S's here, Larry, over at turn 3, and then the big right-hand sweeper at Atwood.
I like this inside line, though, if I'm Mike Dam. You can see it there. Much shorter distance around this long right-hander. But power down a factor because Hartley's able to get the power down, and he's covered the inside line going towards turn 5 hairpin.
Exactly, but you saw there how the rear end of Hartley's car was just dancing around, Larry, as they came out of Atwood, out of turn 4, and just somehow managed to get it down. And then Mike Dam having challenges here as well now.
Beautiful stuff for Hartley. Car position so crucial. He got the power down coming out of 4 and then positioned himself to hold the inside there at 5. Now he's got the inside, as we've probably got maybe 2 laps to go, depending on where race leader Josh Vidal is. Hartley, great move there to get by studying Mike Dam for so many laps. Finally found an opportunity. Now can Mike Dam counter that and make his own move back with maybe just 2 more times around?
Yeah, well, I think Vidal is likely coming out of the final corner. I'm probably out of turn 11 right now. Oh, just before turn 11.
Okay, so this should be white flag here for Vidal. And if he gets by that battle of GT4 leaders, that'll cut down.
There you go, white flag in the air, Larry. Last lap, and on that last lap, also just got word that one of our drivers, it was the driver of the number 21 machine, picked up a drive-through penalty.
Klimovich.
Yes, and that was for incident with the 52. See a 52, Harry, or am I losing my mind?
62?
Maybe the 62 at Brockway?
Perhaps. Yeah, the 62 at Brockway. I can see that here in the log. So,
okay.
Yeah, so unfortunately for David Klimovich, he's going to be serving a drive-through here. But we are not done here, as there's Lucas trying to hold off Brian Bennett still. And I think these guys might just see a race leader Vidal in their mirrors possibly before the end of this lap. Bennett's going to try and go outside.
Oh, Larry,
wait,
look
what
at this.
happened
This
here?
is Tyler King, who moves to the lead around Josh Vidal. Vidal had an off, and that moves the number 428 machine up to the lead here on the last lap, as they're going to have to try and work around Violet and Schwenke.
Violet's not going to make it easy. He's thinking he's got his own battle going on. That's Leo Dragotta there with Violet. They've been tangled up pretty much since lap 2. But Tyler King, unbelievable opportunity here with Vidal struggling on this very last lap. We thought this thing was over. It was not over, but it's about to be. Tyler King is going to win this first round.
Wow. And you said, Larry, hey, maybe we'll talk to you after the race. And there you go.
Unbelievable. Well, here's Vidal.
Yeah, let's take a look and see what happened to Josh Vidal. See how far back King was, right back behind Violet and
does
Dragotta.
This look like a replay or what?
Yeah, we saw it just on the previous lap.
Yeah, it was King the last time. This time it's Vidal as they lock up at the end of the back straight. So, but we're not over yet. That race for the overall lead might be done. These guys are now seeing white flag. Hartley, Dam, They're tangled up 1-2. Hartley with a good exit there might be able to shore this thing up, but he's got traffic ahead. That's Matt Petitus in front of him, who might play a part in this thing. Petitus is just right now looking over his shoulder, and he's going to finally let these guys on by.
Opening the door, exactly.
Yeah, smart move there. Let them race it out.
I think the other issue there, Larry, is I think he also let Chris Klimovich through, and that was a battle for position there between those two machines. So kind of unfortunate there, as Rob Hartley has just a few more corners remaining.
Yep, he's just got to get around. He's got a couple of car lengths. If he could just make it through these last two corners, he can secure the win in GT4 Pro, as I believe the GT4 AM has already been decided.
And indeed it has. Lucas Dragota comes home with the win in GT4 AM, and we'll read down that order here in just a moment. But tonight for race number 1 from Okayama, it is Robert Hartley taking the win in GT4 Pro. His teammate Mike Dam will finish second. Eric Violette will finish in third, and finishing just off the podium is Leo Dragota from Orion. So 3 out of the top 4 in GT4 Pro, all from Orion Racing.
That was absolutely crazy. ABS, the lockups, deciding the winner of the overall, giving that to Tyler King. Unbelievable stuff. This second race is going to be just as exciting.
There you go. All right, so let's do this, Larry. Let's take a quick little break. When we come back, more racing action here from the Okayama International Circuit, where you're watching round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech miniMite Sports Car Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org. The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Okayama International Circuit, where you're watching round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech miniMite Sports Car Series here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsberg. He's Larry Lefty McLeod. Jonathan Grabowski is picking out all the best videos on YouTube that have anything to do with beavers, wings, eagles, you name it. Right now we're listening to the smooth stylings of Jeffrey Osborne, who talks about living on the wings of love, but I'm sure we'll find something better soon. All right, Larry, we're getting ready as we were about 3.5 minutes into a 5-minute warm-up session for our second race of the evening. I know we didn't get down through the order. So in GT4 AM, of course, it was Lucas Dragota taking the win, Chuck Lobano finishing second, Neil Weston third, And of course, we have to have a Beaver there, Larry. Aaron Beaver finishing 4th.
All right, so we always have to have one. But then you get a shot of Stephen May. We hadn't seen much of him in the first round tonight. Get to see him doing his warm-up here. About 1 minute left of this thing. Then we'll queue up the grid. The grid will take a minute to sort out as I'll do this inversion manually. And so we'll try and get it for you. I think, Greg, have we been told officially it is the top half of each field?
Yes, it is.
Okay. We'll see how that goes once they are ready to queue up.
And if I remember correctly in LMP3,
John Sterling.
just
Winona,
showing us the
Eagle
door.
Beaver.
Yep. There is a great shot of it right there.
I'm just gonna start calling that. I think I'm just gonna name it as Winona.
I
Primus
just think
fans are going nuts.
when you're, yeah, exactly. When you're scrabbling for grip, you just stick those talons out, and there you go.
Got talons and teeth. It doesn't get any better than that.
That's right. If CrowdStrike ever wants to change their logo, this is what I suggest.
I think they just need to add Aaron Beaver to the team.
All right, getting word, and Larry, that the 38 machine is going to be starting from the pits. That's Jeff Jacobs, who I don't think was here for race number 1.
Where
was he?
He was. He
Didn't
was
see.
uneventful, but
Oh, that could be it.
there was nothing.
Jeff was uneventful.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so what they're going to do is manually he's going to set this up. So what we've got on the screen there would be the finishing order of the first race, which should be inverted.
If we turn it upside down, Larry, we should be good.
Are we inverting the whole field, or just taking the top half and inverting?
Just the top half. The top half. And I think that again for the LMP3s, obviously that doesn't make much of a difference.
If I recall, 2 weeks ago they inverted the entire LMPs with a small number of rows, so they may do that. But let's let them sort that out. Let's focus a little bit on the GT4s, and I'll see if I can run down the numbers that we have here. And I want to say we've got 32 GT4s, so there'd be 16, which would then put our 16th finisher on pole tonight. And that would be, I think it's Zach Mosley.
Yes, Zach Mosley. Then Tom Jenkins should join him on the front row with Stephen May and Aaron Beaver.
Yep, and then Dan Perito and Robert Schwenkler on row 3. Jeff Jacobs, who will actually start from the pits.
So
Neil
Chuck
Weston.
Labano and Lucas Dragotta then, I believe.
Travis Schwenke. I've got Neil Weston, Chuck Labano, then Schwenke. Then Lucas Dragotta, Brian Bennett, Leo Dragotta, Eric Violet, Mike Dam, and Rob Hartley rounding out the front 8 rows. And then starting behind them would be Alex Brown, Andre Wedderburn, Dale Maxwell, John Sterling, Russ Ruddick and John Casey, Steven Stinson, Brian Steele, Sean Ankeny, Greg Brockway, Chris Klimovich, Matt Pettipa, David Klimovich, David Payton, Chris Thorman, Chad Sebrin, Lyndon Swaby, and Jeff Jacobs starting from the pits.
Jacobs there at the end. Although we did not have Lyndon Swaby go out for race number 1, or if I remember correctly. So we'll have to see if the Canadian makes the grid. And race control area, I think, already ruining this decision to invert half the field. Apparently, the folks from the SCCA Foundation are on wit's end at the moment.
I can hear, if it's an SCCA grid, I can hear the whistles. I know you can too.
I can. Absolutely can.
If you've ever been to an SCCA race, you know when there's the 1 minute warning, you hear every whistle. There's usually 20 of them, and that's about what we hear in this false grid going on the back straight.
And they're all waving their index finger in the air, telling you you're number 1.
All right, so we'll see if they get this sorted out. Again, from what I can tell. As I'm hearing also instructions being given to the drivers. But from what I can tell, it should be Zach Mosley which would be a huge opportunity for Zach Mosley. So let's just talk about Zach for a second.
Okay.
Qualified on the front 2 rows of the first race, had some sort of an opening lap issue, maybe cold tires, sent him back a little bit. Later on, gets into the incident with Travis Schwenke, has to do a drive-to penalty, then eventually gets into an incident where the parked car was in front of him, had nowhere to go. He made some contact there. Not the race that he wanted, but sometimes the sun shines a little bit on you, and it looks like Zach Mosley is going to be starting this race on the front row, and that's going to be a tough ask for everyone else because he's got the pace, and I think if he can get some heat in those tires.
Well, I think that's going to be the key, Larry, because I mean, that is where things started to go downhill for him in race number 1. Very early on, as before the first lap was complete, he had already dropped, I think, 8 or 9 positions.
Yeah. Well, the other one who's up in that same sort of position is Robert Schwenk, who's going to start this thing, I think, on row 3. He also had opening lap issues, had to fall back a little bit, had some later on issues because he got fallen back. Starting in the 5th position, good opportunity for Schwenkler. You can see him there queuing up with the rest of the front of the GT4. So some opportunities for some of these drivers. Now, the challenge is going to fall to our race winner, Robert Hartley, and his teammate, Mike Dam, starting on the 8th row. We know how tough this place is to pass, and I don't think those BMWs have got much for straight line speed, so it could be a tall task for any of the Orion drivers starting down in those rows 6, 7, and 8.
All right, as our teams here and drivers are still trying to get all girded up.
It looks like it's going to be Pfeiffer leading the way, and then Vidal, then Bobby Childs, then Tyler King, then Jake Zito. It looks like maybe the order for the LMP3s, but it's all subject to change.
This looks like a bad Japanese parking lot, Larry.
Yeah, well, it is like traffic around Tokyo. It's just that we're a few hundred miles from Tokyo. All right, so we'll give this a minute. I don't think we're that far off. I do see at least the front half of the field in this mix. And I'm not sure Jeff Jacobs is going to be starting from the pits. He might be in the grid. Yeah, he's on grid. Yep, there he is. We're on board with him. Right behind Schwenkler. And we know Jacobs is also historically tough to pass, putting the burden on the drivers behind him on these opening laps. So Travis Schwenke, Leo Dragotta, Eric Violet, Mike Dam, Rob Hartley, all of them are going to have a huge challenge to get around and get through any of this field. I like the twin 35-minute format. I think it really throws a wrinkle and forces drivers to do things different.
I totally agree, and I think also it really promotes the need to try and pick up extra bonus points wherever you can, whether it be in practice or leading laps or what have you, as our LMP3 racers are going to be coming out of the final corner here and onto the front straight. They're going to hit that start zone right at the start of the grandstands on the left-hand side of your screen as they make the run down to turn 1. Starter looks over the field and green flag is in the air, and we are racing once again here at the Okayama International Circuit. And again, at the front of the field, Jim Pfeiffer to the inside. And wow, it looks like did Kim run wide? Or was that Vidal that ran wide? Indeed, yeah, Josh Vidal now drops all the way to the back of the field there by quite a distance.
And Larry, it looks like it just looked like
the car just wouldn't slow down for him.
Right, so GT4s are underway, and look at this. Mosley already, after they've gone through, he's going to chop over to the front, make sure he's in front of Jenkins, Beaver, and May. You got Corrido and Schwenkler, the two that really started this race, I believe, on row 4 the first round. Now here they are in the second round starting this.
And Mosley goes off,
going to
Larry.
be hitting the wall hard. Wow, that was huge.
Oh, my. That was over at Williams. And he goes off, and the opportunity of the night, Larry, wasted, as we now have sitting up at the front of our GT4 field. That is Aaron Beaver in the lead in his McLaren with Stephen May and Dan Corrido behind. Let's take a look and see what happened.
Yeah, let's quickly. This has got to be more of this cold tire like we saw in the opening lap. Same corner he struggled with in the opening corner of the opening lap, but he managed to survive then. This time he doesn't. The car just gets away from him. He quit the session before that car came to a stop. I can only hope he joins the chat. I don't know that he will, though. Rough night. Rough night.
Oh, my. All right, so Aaron Beaver is your leader here in GT4 now. He's one of our AM drivers in the number 97 McLaren. And Dan Carrillo has gotten around Stephen May and Robert Schwenkler to move up into second. So great run for the Porsche driver. And Larry, we were talking in round one that the Porsche, the Cayman chassis looked like maybe the chassis to have here.
No! And
as Beaver goes around, coming out of the final corner, coming out of turn 11 onto the front straight. Oh my gosh.
Wow, one lap into this thing, we've lost the whole front row from the GT4 is unbelievable. So I'm sure they can cue this replay up, and here it is. So all by himself in the McLaren. We saw Schwenkler in a McLaren struggle in the opening lap of the first round. Now it's Beaver, gets out there, just touches the gravel trap, and hits that pit wall hard.
And Larry, I think we might have lost Bobby Childs as well in LMP3 as he now drops through the order. We're going to look at this battle for the lead between Jim Pfeiffer and Tyler King, as King's looking for his second win of the night. But let's see if we can see if we can track down what happened to Mr. Childs.
Yeah, that's tough to lose Bobby in the same way we've lost already now a couple other drivers, Aaron Beaver, Zach Mosley. A lot of rage quits going on tonight. Here's Bobby coming into the right-hander here, coming down through 6, and Bobby just pushing wide and just not hanging on to it.
Well, nothing horrible there. It had to be something else, Larry, because he then just went tumbling through the order.
I wonder if he's having a pedal issue or something with his sim. It just looked like he should have had better control of the car. Bobby's definitely better than that, and to lose it there, and then I'm wondering if something else goes on that ultimately causes it.
Well, I'm showing that he made it, but not, he just came down the pit lane.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's having a sim issue and decided it was better just to get off track. That's unfortunate for Bobby. I know he's been putting in the time. As you said, Eric had confidence that Bobby was kind of maybe having an opportunity tonight.
Yeah.
Not meant to be. So as we flash to the front, it's Pfeiffer and King. Nose to tail. Zito now third. Josh Vidal 5 seconds back in fourth. Now Vidal led the first race up until about 4 corners to go, I think. Let's see if Vidal can get himself back up in there. King, of course, the beneficiary of the downfall of Vidal, but Vidal got some work to do. King, less work, but still. Pfeiffer off to a good start. Isn't some of that gravel trap? That's tempting fate going onto the front straight. As we just saw Aaron Beaver.
But Larry, you said in the last race that was the way for the GT4 cars to make some speed. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe you're right. Maybe for the the Legers, not the best choice. And
perhaps some issues on cold tires. So here we go. It's now Lucas Dragota, Stephen May, Leo Dragota. The Dragotas are just about to be battling.
Travis Schwenke trailing behind.
Leo's trying to get around the 55 of May. Leo's going to go real wide. That's into the grass all the way on driver's right. He's going to hold it through turn 8. Look at the car control from Dragota. He's going to make this stick. And May is going to get passed by both Orions in turn 9. That's unbelievable stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Leo Dragota has got to try some rallycross. That was beautiful.
And now let's see what I was going to say. Let's see what Jenkins does, because Jenkins is trying to come underneath May as well.
I don't know if Leo Dragota's got any tires left on that car. We're on lap 3, and he may have driven the tires off already.
I'm amazed he has a door skin remaining there on the driver's side. Let's take a look at this again. This is a little contact.
A lot of contact as they go through 7. And look at Leo's going to stay out there. He's going to stay out there. And look at May pushing him.
May just took him all the way to the grass.
I'll do this. Look at he broke. I swear he touched the brakes on the grass. Came back on there. 3 wide now because Schwenke's saying, hey, opportunity exists. Let me take this. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Both moves there for Leo Dragota and for Travis Schwenke to get around Stephen May. And all 3 drivers to stay out of significant contact. That's brilliant stuff. Flash up. This is Eric Violet. trying to get around Brian Bennett. Brian seemed to be right in the middle of all the good fights in the first race, and here he is. They've got Jeff Jacobs in front of them in a BMW. As the Aston goes
Bennett
to the
gets
right.
balked, yeah, as the Aston of Violet is able to come
And Mike
underneath.
Dam gonna take the Leo Dragotta line around turn 7. Is he gonna need grass to do it? A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't think Bennett's gonna push him out there like May pushed Leo.
Sure.
May backed, or it looks like here Bennett backed out just a little bit to make it a little bit easier for all of them to go through the back-to-back hairpins here. Good clean driving by everybody. Mike Dam though didn't win the first race. Teammate got him there right at the end. Hartley though, the winner of the first round, having a little more trouble through traffic than Mike Dam. Hartley about 5 spots back from here. You can see him kind of buried back there in the traffic as he pops out driver's right. There he is. Right there alongside Maxwell and Sterling and Russ Ruddock.
And Larry, did you see that? And that's with Hartley there. But did you see the speed that Maxwell's machine, the Porsche, had down the front straight? Oh my gosh!
Yeah, the Porsche's got tons of speed. Now it looks like here the BMW's got good lateral grip in the long corners, and that may have helped Hartley's also apparently good in the grass. That may have helped Hartley
yeah, exactly.
stay ahead of Dale Maxwell as Hartley does get that position now. But now the Porsche legs,
stalkers.
they might be.
Yes.
I don't know what kind of tires that these are on, but they are certainly good in all sorts of asphalt, dirt, you name it.
Oh, and here comes Violet.
Oh, and he came in violently all the way in and ends up hitting John Sterling.
Oh,
right in the Eagle Beaver.
No, that was not Violet. That was Chris Thorman.
Oh, it was Thorman.
That was Thorman. My mistake. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I saw the DTD as well. My apologies to Violet. Not so much for Thorman. A quick replay on this. So we're on with John Sterling, and that's just...
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know what happened.
Came from out of... Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if he just didn't brake or a sim issue, but that's uncharacteristic of Thorman.
You know, I mean, he might have target fixated on the beaver head. I don't know. Or I don't
Lost
know.
track of his braking point. All right, so we go on board now with Chris Thorman for this replay.
Oh,
it's just not. These cars have ABS, so yeah, I don't know what happened there. That was strange. All right, so Sterling, after taking the hit in the Eagle Beaver, has got himself moving again.
Oh, and there's another one of our BMWs off in the grass. That was Russ Ruddock, I believe. All right, let's jump up to the fight here for the lead in LMP3, Larry, between Jim Pfeiffer and Tyler King. And again, King taking the win in race number 1 for Aerokinetics.
Yeah, King being very patient here as they make their way through the GT4 field for the first time. He's kind of letting Pfeiffer dictate their direction. He's just going to hang back. He knows he's got a little buffer to Vidal back in 3rd. So he doesn't have to be aggressive here, but if an opportunity comes, don't be surprised if King takes it. These last 2 corners are just absolutely full. You made the reference to Japanese highway traffic. This is it right here. Look at this. They are too wide up in front of them, and these LMP3s are going to come in, and they don't know what they're getting themselves into.
Oh, my.
Is that Mike Dam up there in the middle of that pack?
I was
just ahead of Jeff Jacobs?
Yes.
It is. He just got around Tom Jenkins.
Right, I was going to say, I thought that was the midfield car just beside him.
It was, yeah. So now, and in fact, the midfield's a little bit in front of him as the 2 LMP3s go through. Bennett better watch out. He's got 1 on either side.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Oh, and Bennett's got to look out. He's got everything on both sides.
Oh,
Did he make it?
He didn't hit the wall, and everybody behind him, I think, cleared.
So
Oh, my.
He made it through, and now he's just going to sit here and wish that he hadn't had this issue because he was having such a good run. Quick replay him. I think he just got cut out with all the traffic. He was offline, leaving room, and maybe it's dirty out there. Maybe that's not a line.
Well, you can see the dirt on the pavement, Larry. Yeah, and he locked them down, and that entire pack of 4 cars are able to scoot around the outside of them.
Heartbreaking.
But you know, I don't know, Larry, what we've seen in the last couple of both at the end of, actually, 1 second, yeah.
Yeah, it's just the Chris Thorman penalty being doled
Thorman
out.
getting a 30-second penalty. But I was
Right,
going to say, I don't know what it is. We've been watching these Porsches, and I think at the very end of season 6, we were marveling at the drifting skills of one of the 2 Klim Club drivers.
Yeah, David Klimovich had a spectacular drift while they're right there. Unfortunately for Bennett, not as spectacular. This is interesting here. Mike Dam, remember I was saying how good he was getting through traffic? Well, he got caught up to Jeff Jacobs. Jacobs has got a little wrinkle in front of that BMW. But look who's in front of them now. It's Robert Hartley. Your round 1 winner, who is 5 spots back from Mike Dam. This is what happens when you get caught in traffic and you can't get through efficiently. Suddenly your rival does, and now the rival's past him. Dam is struggling like no get out here to try and just get around Jeff Jacobs, while Hartley starts to move and pull ahead. Great move for Hartley. He's now up to 6th in pro. 6 seconds back of Eric Violette. That's going to be a tall order to catch, but great job for Hartley. Patient at the beginning, getting around his rival, aka his teammate, at this stage. So you can see Tom Jenkins in the midfield motorsports still in front of them. All of these guys in these BMWs, from Jenkins to Hartley to Dam to Jeff Jacobs, all 4 of them in BMWs in that line. We check in on David Klimovich, who's in a bit of a battle here with Russ Ruddock in another BMW. And Greg Brockley, the Mercedes in front.
And Larry, I've just gotten some very interesting information from veterinarians over at Washington State University. According to them, a beaver that loses its front teeth can regrow them. And they say, for example, a juvenile beaver that was hit by a car, of all things, lost its front teeth and was able to regrow all 4 of them.
It's good, John Sterling. Then it stands a chance.
Exactly.
That's good.
Exactly. And apparently, as we were looking at the front end of Jeff Jacobs' car, he's got a chance too. Right there. By the end of this race, they should be all popped out.
Are beavers native to Japan? Can you ask your veterinarian friend who just gave us that little tidbit? Beavers are native to Japan. All right, Travis Schwakey currently flying the flag for Orion as the lead car tonight. He's up to 3rd in pro, 4th overall. He's got Chuck Rubano somewhere in front of him still, but as he's got his teammate Leo Jagoda right behind him, and then Lucas Jagoda just a car and a half back there as they've got an LMP3 between them.
I don't know about Japanese beavers, but I know of Chinese beavers.
Well, whenever we make a race at the Shanghai circuit, then we can bring that up.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so look at Leo Jagoda showing already that he's willing to go off-road. Almost did there to get around Travis's teammates. Travis taking some wide defensive lines here through the last couple of quarters in this lap. Leo, better look out. He's got his former teammate and brother from across the house. They're right behind him. Probably
brother from
leaves
the same
himself
mother?
on mute and says, Lucas, leave me alone. Don't get in my way. Mom. Leo is blocking me. Do you think Mom Jagoda ever gets involved? She has to, right? That she's got to. I hope she's watching. But if she's watching and listening to us, it's got to be way more entertaining though to listen to the boys yelling at each other as they nose to tail on track.
One of these days she'll pull the plug.
Don't make me unplug this router. I will unplug this router. Like Mom, see, when we were kids, it was never the threat of pulling the router. It was always a threat of don't make me turn this car around. But these 21st century kids, you know, it's
they're driving the car.
Yeah, they are driving it. You can't turn this thing around, but you can certainly turn it off.
Exactly.
All right, so Mike Dam now.
Don't want to play favorites.
Dam now making the move on Jenkins. He may have finally been able to make that stick. Jenkins also may be suffering a spot loss to Jeff Jacobs. Yeah, Jenkins loses that spot as well.
And Larry, look
Jenkins.
how loose all three of those BMWs, how loose they're getting. Mike Dam had a little bit of trouble there getting the power down. And here, well, this corner at the hairpin here, not so bad. But as they go into Hobbs, we've been watching here where they get incredibly loose down in the Mike Knight corner.
Yeah, Alex Brown, that Mercedes looks very stable behind those BMWs. You can kind of see the relative motion of the BMWs, just kind of constantly in a bit of a yaw back and forth. Yeah, very tough car to handle tonight. Apparently, unless you're in the grass and your name is Leo Dragoda, then the car handles beautifully.
just perfectly.
This is a good little battle here. Alex Brown, Jeff Jacobs, that's for class position. They're currently in 8th and 9th. Tom Jenkins, he's in AM category. He's currently in 4th in his, but he would like to stay in front of these guys because there's a Dale Maxwell not that far back. You can see him in his Porsche. He's 5th in the AM class and would love to get a piece of Jenkins in this pairings. Meanwhile, out in front of this train, in front of all of it, is Dan Carrito, and Dan has got himself a pretty good lead here as we check in with him. He's a couple seconds now ahead of Rob Schwenkler from the wrong stuff, and both of these guys, we talked about them during the gridding of the second race. These two were looking at an opportunity because of, let's say, less than stellar performances in the first run tonight, and like that opportunity to be able to start there, I think it was the 3rd and 4th rows here in the second race, and what have they done? Turn that into a 1-2.
Well, if you remember, Larry, Carrito, who was, I think, 5th fastest of all the GT4 cars, he started from the pit lane in race number 1. And so was the back foot. He was on the back foot to start things off. And, wonderful turn of events for him to start. He wasn't on the front row for race number 2, but,
Not the way the coach drew it up, as they say, let's just sandbag the first start. Yeah, to somehow gain 16 positions in the first race to end up at the 16th and then end up, well, not 16th, but gained about 20 or 22 positions to end up in the around the 10th position in the first race. And here he is leading the second race. Great job there. As we check in, Tyler King has made his way around Jim Pfeiffer and now is pulled ahead by a couple seconds.
Yeah, and just turns in fast lap of the race at a 1:26.73, almost 7/10 faster than Jim Pfeiffer that last time by.
So King now going to try to go around the outside. Ooh, that's some tight racing, and he's got some help in front of him. This looks like going to be a huge help.
And there's the gap. It opens.
Great
and
line,
Larry and
King.
Pfeiffer had an opportunity to shoot the gap and did not take it. Tyler King does.
Yeah, it's a risk-reward moment. I think had he done that and had King also thought the same gap was his,
they both would have been off.
Catastrophic. Instead, King has got himself in a good couple of corners and very quickly a 4-second lead on Jim Pfeiffer. So Tyler King, your round 1 winner, doing it again. Now the question is, can Josh Vidal put the pressure on Jim Pfeiffer for the second spot? Mike Dam's looking like he's used in front of that BMW as a bit of a battering ram.
Oh, yes.
It's kind of a, all the references to Beavers tonight.
The rear has been on the receiving side as well.
All the references to Beavers tonight, I forgot we do have a dam.
Exactly.
We're gonna get a note. We're gonna get a note for next time. It's gonna happen.
Well, remember, Larry, we're not going to be here for round number 3 of the miniMite Sportscar Challenge.
That's true. If you like the Eagle Beaver references, you'll be sad to know that in 2 weeks, Greg and I will be on vacation, doing other motorsports things with SCCA, in fact. And we don't know if we've got the other replacements, our permanent replacements, our temporary replacements to step in for us, but it'll be a different night that night and a different level of entertainment, I'm sure. It sounds like Jonathan, our director's not going to be here that night either. So, what's going to happen is they're all going to realize the job that we do, and we're all going to get like virtual pink slips or something.
Well, I think I alluded to that after round 1 that we were going to get fired.
We'll be demoted to calling public Miata races.
Where you've heard of the virtual runoffs.
Let's not go there. All right, so let's keep an eye on Jeff Jacobs. As I said when we started this race, he was in a position to do a lot of fighting, blocking, and being a part of the mix. Well, here he is, Alex Brown, trying to get around Jacobs.
Yeah,
does the up and under.
Gnawing for that position. Yeah,
he
great.
makes it stick. Good pass there. Now can Dale Maxwell do the same? As you can see, that Porsche of Maxwell coming up behind Jacobs now.
Let's see if Brown can take a bite out of Jenkins' advantage.
I think Dale Maxwell is really the interesting one in this mix, because he's just been sitting back and doing his thing, but he's been slowly gaining on these guys. In fact, the last lap, he was quite a bit quicker. He's got the fastest single lap of anybody in this mix right now at a 36.0 in this race. Everyone else's fastest is about 8/10 slower. So Maxwell's got a good shot here to catch Jacobs and Brown. Not that far back of Jenkins, who's actually his in-class rival. So keep your eye on this Porsche we're on board with here, Dale Maxwell, the black flag.
And we just saw Jenkins go very deep down into the corner there.
Another one of those BMWs that's just struggling tonight for overall grip. That's Stephen May, who started this race up in the order a little bit, but
yeah, we saw at one point, I think he was running third in the order.
Third in hand.
Yeah, didn't have the misfortune that Aaron Beaver had. Well, but to begin this race, Larry, I think it was he and Aaron Beaver that were sitting up in the front row as they got the start. And of course, Beaver had his issues going around.
It was Zach Mosley that was up on that front row, but
that's true.
May has certainly been a big in the mix here, so to speak. Well, this is Brian Steele, one of the Canadians in the field, in a battle. Steven Stinson, another fellow Northerner there in front of him. Chad Sebring, American, right behind them. A different line there as they go through turn one, and they've got themselves LMP2 behind them. I think that's Tyler King in the Aerokinetics. Yeah. He's going to be patient. Look at that patience shown by Tyler, waiting through the corner. Use the speed to get by through the straightaways. More patience here. This is going to be catching up to Weston. Stinson first, and then
Stinson.
Weston. All these Porsches in a
Three
row.
Porsches in a row.
Yeah, we saw the BMWs earlier bunched up. Now it's the Porsches bunched up. Sebring looking to the inside. Going underneath Steele, can't make it work. Steele's going to hold that position. Another, that looks like Pfeiffer now. The second place LMP3 wants to come through. This is a tough spot to catch the GT4s here through turns 6 and 7.
Yeah, this is probably the worst part of the track in order to try it.
Yeah. He's able to get by one of them. It's past Steele. Get down the inside of Stinson here. He's still about 3 seconds back from Tyler King, which is about a second closer than he was a few laps ago. So with 10 minutes to go, it's not over yet. Pfeiffer going to start making a push. It's the battle for third and pro. The teammates, we saw the teammates of Damon Hartley fighting it out for the race win in round one. Well, here you got two different Orion teammates fighting it out for third with Travis Schwenke and Leo Dragotta. In that mix ahead of them, but as we flash through to the field here, Alex Brown now alongside Tom Jenkins. Can he make it stick? No, he's going to have to, maybe, sort of. Yeah, he's got to back out of that. He just couldn't quite shove his nose in there. He almost lost a spot to Jeff Jacobs.
Jeff Jacobs, and Jacobs just couldn't get that car rotated, however.
Yes. That looks like Pfeiffer coming through.
That's the Pfeiffer car running second.
Again, catching all the GT4 traffic in the same spot in this lap. Just they're all spread out just enough. Pfeiffer trying to get around Jenkins. He's got to wait.
Brown stood on the binders,
Take a look
to keep from getting into Pfeiffer.
Take a look at Dale Maxwell, though. Maxwell's going to go inside of Jeff Jacobs right behind this. There you go. And he's not able to make it totally stick, but he's got to run, I think, on the final corner. Let's see if he can get to the inside of Jacobs. His BMWs maybe have struggled in a straight line compared to the Porsche. If he's got the grip in one, he can maybe have the position for turn 2. He's going to open the wheel. He's going to get out there. Does he hold the inside for 2? He does. Jacobs, is he going to back off? There's not much grip out there. That's where we saw the big spin for Mosley on the opening lap. Look at this.
And
it's
Maxwell. Is that Vidal? And is that Vidal that's sitting back behind him? Yeah.
He's got nowhere to go. Jacobs, great line through 4 to hold Maxwell off. There's a good fight going on here. That was really good driving there for Jacobs. Stayed on the inside, just curved out just a hair to make Maxwell back off and take away that spot. Beautiful move for Jacobs. Jacobs has struggles here.
Yeah, Maxwell's now going to try to come right underneath him and gets the position back.
BMW is struggling under brakes. Oh, is there even some contact there as Maxwell got a little bit sideways going through 6. Keeps it together. And that position now to Maxwell as they're on the inside straight, heading up to the 2 hairpins at 8 and 9.
All right, as we have
more contact.
Yeah, it's getting very tight here as we now have about 7 minutes remaining. And, we'll see here, Larry, especially with that flattened, that pug nose on the front of Jeff Jacobs' car. Obviously a lot more frontal area than what the Porsche has, but I'm also thinking here as they come onto the front straight, they run down the 1, it doesn't look like Jacobs going to have the run to be able to pull to the inside like he did on the previous lap. And you see now where Maxwell will defend a little bit to the inside, but I was going to say, Larry, that the last time through when they came through turn 2, if Jacobs had actually been able to maybe come across the nose of the Porsche and he didn't do it, he actually left the door open for him.
Yeah, the BMW seems a little quicker there at the 2 and 3, but this time now he's full car length behind. He may not be able to make that work because we flashed Chuck Labano, your AM leader, who's got the 3rd and 4th place pro class behind him. As Travis Schwenke and Leo Dragota, the 2 Orion teammates, now have caught Chuck Labano. They're going to try and see if they can make a move. So again, they're not positioned, they're not scored against the AM driver, but overall points are awarded based on overall GT4. So it does matter for Schwenke and Dragota to get by, because the way this season is going to go and the depth of these fields, every single position, every point is going to matter. Same for Labano. He may come away with this with an AM win, but he would love to have points for 3rd overall in the race as opposed to 5th overall in the race. That's a lot more points haul that he can take out of here. He's got work to do with the 2 veterans. Well, 1 young veteran and 1 old veteran there from the Orion team in Schwenke and Dragota.
And Tyler King manages to get his LMP3 Ligier past that trio there. Looked pretty ominous there for a second for Tyler King, that he was kind of pinned in for almost 3/4 of a lap.
Yeah, but he managed to get him by again. He's got a little bit of a buffer there over his nearest rival, Jim Pfeiffer. So King able to take that opportunity to be patient. And I'm sure that Chuck Labano appreciated that.
And Larry, big change up. Well, let's see if we could jump up to that battle between Corrido and Schwenkler, because they've just swapped positions. It looked like for a moment.
I think timing and scoring sometimes is doing that a little bit, as it's having trouble to keep up with the 30 cars or 35 to 40 cars they've had on track tonight. But Corrido has been doing a fantastic job of just doing what he needs to do. Schwenkler had been as close as 1.2 seconds back a few laps ago, but Corrido is doing a great job to hold him off about 2 seconds now, as again these two continue to mix. This is back to Maxwell and Jeff Jacobs. This is 5th in AM against 9th in Pro. That has been a really good battle there. As Maxwell continuing. Dale Maxwell able to hold the line here at the end of the back straight. And that's where he's been better, but this time not as smooth on the brakes there. And Jacobs now is pinned behind him as they go through 6. Oh, and a big slide for Maxwell through 7.
Yeah, and all the while we're starting to see the Mercedes of John Casey, where he's starting to close up just a little bit. And
Just a little
of course,
bit, but
Casey,
now-
yeah, and of
Yeah,
course
this is,
Casey.
Alex Brown and Stephen May are having their own fight right in front of Dale Maxwell and Jeff Jacobs. And as you say, John Casey, and that is going to be a big hit. That's Alex Brown. That was Stephen May. We're going to catch a replay of this. I told you they were just starting to get a little bit feisty there as John Casey goes through. So Weston goes through as well. Let's see. Watch this battle now. May on the right, Brown on the left in the Eagle Beaver. They come up towards, I think this is coming into turn 10. The Mike Knight corner, and yeah, just the two of them got to get stuck together there going through.
You know, I'll tell you, Larry, it looked as though May was still trying to track out drivers left and maybe didn't leave a lot of ground for the Mercedes. And we saw how hard May was racing the Jagoda car early on.
And there was a really good race going on between them. The stewards are definitely going to take a look at that. That is tight quarters in these GT4s. We'll see if they feel that there was. I'd be hard pressed to make a judgment call on that one because both drivers seem to be fighting for the same piece of real estate. It's the way it goes. Now let's flash again to Chuck Labano, continuing to hold off Travis Schwenke and Leo Jagoda. But behind them, I think that is Josh Vidal, who's showing some patience here. Gets by Jagoda. They'll wait to the front straight to take the next two. I heard Schwenke give a little bit of a thanks to Vidal for being patient. It's always appreciated when you're in the middle of a battle like Schwenke is with Chuck Labano to not have an LMP3 forcing their way through. All right, so 2 minutes left. Could be Tyler King, your overall race leader. He's going to be close to whether or not he'll get white flag this time by. He might. He should. So I'm sure you're hearing the race marshal announcement there.
Yeah, it sounds like Alex Brown getting a drive-through penalty at this late juncture in the race.
That's a tough one. Tough pill to swallow. It's the stewards' decision. They had a lot of camera angles to look at. That's how they feel. And for Brown, that's going to take away an opportunity to finish top 10 in pros. That'll probably shuffle him back. See where that ends up, as he's probably going to come in and serve this very shortly.
And Larry, as he does prepare to come down the pit lane, white flag is in the air for Tyler King. He's looking to make his second win of the evening. Ooh.
Well, we had said the same thing a race ago. We thought when Josh Vidal took the white flag, it was an easy cruise to the finish, and maybe Tyler King's got that in the back of his mind to say, you know what, this car needs to get home.
Yeah, well, it almost looked like it was going to make it home backwards, Larry. So let's see here as we jump back over with Jenkins, Maxwell, Jacobs, and Weston. Jenkins running currently on the last podium position in AM with his BMW. Then Dale Maxwell in the Porsche.
I told you to watch out for Maxwell, and here he is.
Yes.
He's made his way around Jeff Jacobs, and that's going to be a big wobble. Look at all the wobbling Porsches. Maxwell's actually going to lose a spot.
Yeah, well, I think Jacobs loosened him up a little bit, Larry, as they came out of the final corner.
And Casey ends up getting the spot in front of Maxwell. We thought for a second that maybe Maxwell was going to come out ahead of Jenkins. Instead, he's 4 cars back.
But here is your AM leader at the moment, Larry, and that is Chuck Labano. He's got Travis Schwenke and Leo Dragoda behind. As you mentioned, it is important here as Tyler King's going to come out of the final corner and win the second race of the evening here at Okayama. But Chuck Labano wants to hold on to that position if he can, because it is worth some valuable points.
Huge points for an AM leader to hold off and all of these pro drivers. This is for third place in all of GT4's points. That's what's on the line here. And if he slips, he might fall to 5th points. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's a lot. It's for Chuck Labano. That's meaningful because his nearest rival is Lucas Dragoda, who we did see win round 1 tonight. And this looks like round 2 in the AM is going to go to Chuck Labano.
There you go. Congratulations to Chuck Labano. He will take the win in AM. And we'll get some of the other races there in a moment. In GT4 Pro, taking the win is Dan Carrillo in his Porsche. Then Robert Schwenkler will finish second. And then Travis Schwenke will finish third with Leo Dragota fourth. In AM now, Lucas Dragota comes across the line. He will finish second. And who's going to push who? Looks like Tom Jenkins is going to finish third in AM as they cross the line just ahead of Neil Weston. And in LMP3, of course, we saw Tyler King come across the line. He's your winner. Jim Pfeiffer will finish second. Josh Vidal will finish in third.
Pretty good racing there. The GT4 battles are so tight. Every position, every point, crucial to your season totals. Great job there for Chuck Labano to hold off some of the fastest GT4 pros we've got. And Dan Carrillo, great recovery from missing the start in the first race, starting from the pits to winning race 2.
All right, so Larry, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. We'll thank some of our partners and sponsors. And when we come back here to the Okayama circuit, we will talk to some of our podium finishers. You're watching the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech miniMite Sports Car Challenge here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The SCCA Foundation is a 501c3 organization serving as the charitable arm of the Sports Car Club of America. One of the programs partially funded by the foundation is the SCCA Academy, an online learning management system used to keep real-life racing track officials up to date on the highest standards of race safety and officiating. Through this program, the SCCA Foundation is supporting the future of the best-trained corner workers and event officials in motorsport. You can support these efforts at www.sccafoundation.org.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to the Okayama International Circuit, where you've just seen round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech miniMite Sports Cars Series, or Sports Car Challenge. Take your choice. Here on Apex Racing TV, I'm Greg Ginsberg. He's Larry McLeod. And Larry, looks like we've got some of our podium finishers sitting in the green room right now. Let's bring them in. Let's talk first. I think this will be a good way to bookend it. You finished up your interview this morning, or early on in the evening.
Wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long. wasn't this morning. Maybe this morning in Japan. I don't know.
Yes.
But we're talking to Tyler King from Aero Kinetics, who took the win in both rounds here tonight, or both races tonight. Let's talk to him.
All right, Tyler King, you're getting all the airtime tonight because you managed to win not one but both races. Let's the second race looks like you made some good moves to get there, but let's go back to that first race for a minute. That was a lot of up and down and up and down and finally up. Tell me a little bit about how that race went from your view.
You know, I don't want to jinx it too early, but I'm going to think that race 1 so far in this series has just been like my chaotic race. I'm going to call it that. Everything that goes chaos happens in the first race. But that was pretty crazy. I was really just trying to get a feel for the car, and I was struggling a lot early on in the run. The car was just sliding everywhere, and I was having a hard time keeping it under control. Went off a couple times there, but was able to kind of recover and bounce back. And I tell you, that traffic, man, that was the biggest factor, because I was so far back at some points, and to see people get held up for so long while trying to be respectful and not, kill each other going through each turn was really eye-opening to see how I was able to make up so much ground. So kept my foot in it, was able to recover nicely up to P2, and then I feel for Josh, man. I totally know how that feels with locking up there. I mean, you guys just called it, not too long ago. They're like, oh, deja vu, right? This just happened, I feel for that. So it was a good run though. In the second race came around and was able to keep it steady, made some adjustments on the car, and was able to kind of keep it in one piece and get through the GTs a lot smoother. It seemed like it was a bit more smoother on both ends.
Yeah, it looked like you were showing some good patience behind Pfeiffer, and then you finally were able to make the move there again with the GT4 traffic in front of you coming onto the back straight. And then it just seemed like he continued to struggle, and you just sort of lightning quick. You were up by 4 seconds. It was so fast. But at the end of the race, did we see your car, I guess, similar to the end of the first race? Was it starting a little more squirrely? Is that just the end of race jitters, or are the tires like that much overheated and going away? Because the lockups for yourself and for Josh, and then at the end there, even through white flag, we see your car even get a little loose. Was that what we were seeing?
Yeah, definitely the tires are feeling pretty wore there, and I think a lot of both GTs and LMPs were struggling with a lot of lockup there. I mean, just looking at my wear, I could tell that I was really struggling to hold on there. So if that was another 20 minutes or so, I probably would have been ice skating out into the sand most of those turns. But it would keep my head and keep it in one piece.
Yeah, wonderful job here. Opportunities present themselves. You managed to get the win in the first round, then come back. Nice and patient moves. Wait until the opportunity is there, and again, pounce and pull away. So another great perfect points haul here for you. Of course, you had a lot of points collected in that first round. So after 2 nights here, 2 different events, you've got a pretty good run going. Are you starting to feel lucky, or are you still thinking you're going to be nervous about that first round in 2 weeks?
It's gonna be a long season here. I just get through one round at a time, one race at a time. It's all we can do. The field here, both GT and LMP, we put on a good show for you guys, and I'm happy to be here on the Monday nights with you guys. It's a lot of fun, and hopefully we get some more exciting racing action come up here at the rest of the rounds on the calendar.
Yeah, it's been exciting so far, and looking forward to the rest of it. But for tonight, you get to savor in back-to-back wins here, but I'm sure you'd like to give a thanks and shout-out to some folks that help you.
Yeah, definitely. Again, thanks to the Aerokinetics team for hooking me up on short setup notice. Thanks for all the viewers watching at home. It's great to see all you here every week that we broadcast, and hope to see you guys here in a couple weeks on the next. I think Indy is the next track, if I recall right.
I think so.
I believe you so. You're right.
All right. So tonight, getting the win in both rounds of LMP3, it's Tyler King from Aerokinetics. Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Larry. Let's move on now and talk to our GT4 AM winner in race number 2, and that is Chuck Labano from Frito Sport Racing.
All right, your winner of round 2 here in the GT4 AMs, Chuck Labano. And Chuck, you were 3rd overall in this race among all the GT4s, and you held off 2 of the fastest that we've seen around these parts. Travis Schwenk and Leo Dragotta, you gave them no opportunities to get by you. Awesome job. You sweating a little bit from that last round?
I'm going to say, if you watched me on the last lap, I blew a whole bunch of my corners. Travis and Leo can put a ton of stress on you. But up until they caught me, man, it was my favorite race. The boring race, no one to fight with. I just have to do my laps. I think I was doing 36 threes the whole time. So yeah, it was a good time until they caught me. And then, last few laps, man, boy, was I stressed.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but it didn't seem to affect you. Yeah, we saw a little bit of the car sliding around, but you were hitting the marks that count. It looked like you were taking good lines to get exits on turn 4, getting good entries and good braking going into the hairpin at the end of the back straight. You weren't leaving huge opportunities for them. At that point, is that really all you can do, is just focus on those couple of key points where they have opportunities and don't let them have them?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had Travis behind me in the first race too, so I could see that my pace wasn't much slower than him, and I literally had to let him go by in the first race. So I knew I could put up a fight. I knew my pace was okay, but the one thing I just never really think about is the stress that these guys can put on you, especially the Orion guys.
Yeah, well, tonight you handled that stress cool as a cucumber, so awesome job here getting the win for GT4 AM. Sure, you got some folks you want to thank, some teams and others.
Oh yeah, I love my Frito Sport team. An extra special to Zach. He had a bad night tonight, but the setup he gave me, man, it really felt good. I had a really good time with it. Other than that, my wife does a great job.
Are you guys on the same setup? And was there an issue with cold tires? Because we saw him struggle both races on cold tires.
Oh yeah, the cold tires are crazy, but it seems to be one of my my strengths as a driver, is I can push really hard on cold tires. It's once they're warmed up, I start falling back.
Okay. Oh, just fantastic job to be able to manage through that. We saw Zach struggling, and unfortunately there at the end of the race. Didn't mean to cut you off in your thanks, but I just thought that was a interesting thing with you guys sharing the same setup.
Yeah, it's all good. I thanked everyone. You guys do a great job. Kevin and the guys over at XMS. I'm going to say even Bobby does a good job.
He does.
We'll have to give him a
we
shout
love
out.
Bobby.
Yeah, he's all right.
He didn't have the night that he wanted,
Bobby.
but we do appreciate what he does for this league.
Exactly. So thanks for having me, guys.
All right, thanks, Chuck Labano, getting the win for Frito Sport Racing here in race number 2 in GT4M.
All right, Larry, that leaves one person left to talk to here tonight, and that is our GT4 Pro winner, driving the number 40 Saints and Sinners Racing Porsche GT4 Club Sport, Dan Carrito.
All right, Dan Carrito, I'll start with the bad, we'll get to the good. The call to grid for the first race, was that delivered, or was that oops, you just let the count go down?
I second guessed myself on my fuel, and I didn't look at the time, and as I got back into the pit, I saw 0, so I was just like, screw it. I went back onto the grid, but it was already too late, and I ended up having, I think, an extra 2 laps worth, so it was perfect fuel strategy, and I kind of bit myself for it.
Well, you managed to maybe a little bit of luck came your way, because you got just far enough into the field to put yourself up in contention in that second race. In fact, I think you started the second race somewhere around that row 3 or row 4. And we were saying, your pace in qualifying, you were a contender. You had to hold off another fast one. Schwenkler was there. Zach Mosley, of course, started the second race out in front. We thought all 3 of you guys might be able to run away with this. Zach has issues. You managed to avoid his spinning issues, but you still held off Schwenkler as this race developed. Were you watching that gap to Rob? Were you kind of gauging your pace lap to lap on where Schwenkler was either catching or not?
Yeah, once I got around that guy that was in first, I think it was Aaron. I don't know who it was. It's one right in front of me. I was watching, and for about 5 laps, there was no gap made or lost. It was about 1.3 seconds for a good 5 laps, and I knew I couldn't let off. I just had to run clean and run the pace that I was running. And then somewhere towards the end, I saw the gaps separating a little bit. So I kind of started driving a little easier there, but no, I couldn't let off that whole race. He was on me.
Yeah, it's a stacked, very deep field here in GT4 Pro, and you're coming into this. I believe this is your first season with us, and you're finding out just how deep this field is. But tonight, who knows what coulda, woulda, shoulda happened in the first round, but you come back and get the win here in the second round. Did you expect to find any success early on here in joining this Ricmotech League?
Yes and no. I think I did a season or 2 years and years back. But my pace was nowhere near what it is now. I was like a mid to back runner. But yeah, coming into practice, I saw that I had some pace here. The car felt great all day since the practice session. So no, I figured this race I'd do pretty good. I don't know if I'll get as lucky on some of the other tracks though.
Well, there's a lot to this, and right now you just collect the points where you can, and for you getting the win tonight, it's going to be huge here in the second round, so congrats on that. But I know you've probably got some friends and family and teammates that maybe help you along the way to get you this win.
Yeah, definitely. I run laps together with my team. They don't run in the series, but we run laps together probably once or twice a week, Saints and Sinners Racing. We run a couple different leagues together.
Well, awesome job here tonight, and I'm sure you can go back and brag to those guys. You already got a win. You've only been in this league, back in this series here for 2 rounds, and a win already on your way. So the awesome job tonight. Congrats on the win here for Dan Carrito from Saints and Sinners Racing.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, you guys put on a hell of a show.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, there you go, Dan Carrito. And Larry, real quick, before we head on out for the evening, we'll just take a quick look at the point standings after 2 rounds in GT4 Pro. Dan Hartman. No. Robert Hartley is your current points leader. Another another 80s songster. Robert Hartley is your points leader over Travis Schwenke, Eric Violet, Dan Carrito, only 12 points back in the championship right now. In GT4 AM, it is Lucas Dragota, your current points leader, with 43 points already over Chuck Labano. Wow. Tom Jenkins sitting third in the championship, just 4 points back from there. And in LMP3, it is Tyler King, currently with a 3-point advantage over Josh Vidal, Bobby Childs, sitting third in the championship, another 40 points back from there. All right, let's take a quick look at what we've got coming up across our different Ricmotech leagues. Next Monday night, September 23rd, the Ricmotech World Challenge for our LMP2, GTP, and GT3 machines returns to the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the Mosports. Don't want to miss that. Then in 2 weeks, as Larry said, he and I are going to be on a little bit of a vacation, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't tune in Monday night, September 30th, as the miniMite Sportscar Challenge heads to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for 2 more 35-minute sprint races, and then the World Challenge heads to Spa October 7th. And of course, the Touring Car Cup for our MX-5 Cup and GR86 Cup cars returns in January. To get more information, head on over to xmsracing.com. So for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Jonathan Grabowski, I'm Greg Ginsburg, and we'll see you here on Apex Racing TV next Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.